I want to do an overview of how the cleaning up of the LS stock harness came out. Like I mentioned before, most of my important information came from here, from lt1swap.com. You got all the information for all the pinouts, the wires you need, the wires you don't need. And I also was watching Will's workshop right here on YouTube, and I like the way he did it. He did it on the stand as far as cleaning up the harness, and he was able to reroute it just like those aftermarket harnesses where it goes in through the firewall and the computer sits in the truck. I like that idea. And I also like the idea of moving the thermostat, the temperature sensor, to the back passenger side. And I was looking into, like I mentioned in another video, I wanted to be able to run a temperature gauge. So I did order a 3-pin temperature gauge from a 98 Camaro, and that should be getting here today. I haven't hooked it up, but I did reroute that. I'm gonna show you guys what I did. And then I added my for the alternator charging wire. I ran it outside the harness, but I also fought it through the back of the manifold to kind of clean it up a little bit. So I'm gonna show you guys how it came out. Here it is laid out on the floor, how it's gonna sit in the truck, and that's just pretty much the stuff that I ended up with once I was done cleaning it up. This is most of the sensor connections. Those were O2 sensors. There was an extra one that was hanging on there in one of the clips, so that didn't come off. I had to add that back on, but this, pretty much the sensors that came off. There might have been like another, I don't know, 5, but there were little pins probably going to like the water reservoir, you know, things like that. And this is the wires that were left over. I figured I could use them, so I rolled them up and put them to the side. Let me show you guys how it came out, and I'll explain to you what's what. Okay, so here's how it's going to sit in the motor. This side is the passenger side. You got the injectors right here, and that's a sensor for the air filter. What is that? The mass airflow sensor? Yeah, that's what that is. I left it long because I don't know how far out. It's probably going to be over here somewhere by the passenger front side of the truck. So I left it kind of long. Once I know where I want it, I can fold it onto itself and tape it. That's pretty much how the harness is. Once you start taking apart the harness, you're going to see that a lot of the wires are extra long, but they're folded up inside it and then rerouted however they wanted it. Okay, the only different thing that I did as far as that was this sensor here. This is the temperature sensor, was located on the front side of the cylinder head, on the driver's side, which would be over here. So I moved that way, and then I added this wire for that 3-prong sensor that I've told you I'm waiting on. This is going to be for the 3-prong sensor. Looks like this, but it has another little pin towards the top, and that's where this will go. And that wire is going to go like this on this leg into the harness. And it's going to come out right here. See, that'll be for temperature gauge. It's ground, so that's how that controls the temperature gauge. I guess you could run like stock temperature gauges with it. I'm going to do an aftermarket and see how it works. Some people say that it's not exact, like a couple degrees off, but I'm just wanted to let me know if the car's overheating or not. So that's the only different thing I did. Also, the alternator charging wire, I ran it along the alternator wires around the back of the manifold down to the side through there. Then I added this heat shield tape that I had laying around. You can get that anywhere at Home Depot. It's pretty cheap. It'll protect it. So I just added all that to that. That's going to be going underneath the starter. So these are all going to be over here by the starter. This is the starter charging wire, so it goes to the battery where you hook up your battery. This is for your starter, the purple wire. And this is the crank sensor right behind the starter. Okay, so let me go over it again. So from the start, that way you'll see where it's at. Mass airflow sensor goes into the passenger side injectors. This is the coil pack, and then this goes around the bottom to the motor, and that's going to be on the side of the head for the temp sensor. Going down, charging wire for the battery, hooks up the same place where you hook up the battery. This is your starter signal, so the starter will start. And this is a crank sensor. on the bottom. Okay, so we're going from there. Right here, this is what sits behind the manifold. Because one of these is gonna be, there's only two back there. One of them is a NOx sensor, the other one's a cam sensor, and then you got two grounds over there in the back. They go on the block. Not the head, the block. The blocks are the heads are aluminum. Also, when I moved the sensor this way, there was another ground that I had to get rid of, and I moved it over to here. When you open up the harness, you'll see that all the grounds are tied in together. And the one that's on this side, you have to hook it up to one of these. So just reroute it from there. That way, everything that's grounded on this ground that we deleted will have ground from the back, and it'll clean it up a little bit. And then this is the map sensor. This one sits on top of the manifold, like that. Okay, and we'll work our way this way. Here's that battery charging wire that I told you guys earlier. That goes straight to your alternator. This is your alternator plug, and one of these is the throttle position sensor, and the other one's the IAC, whatever that is. What does that stand for? Anyways, these are all going to the front of the motor. I'll show you on the motor right now. Well, after I put it on, I'll make another video. And then these three of you. There you go. There's the fourth one. Your injectors on the driver's side, coil pack on the driver's side. Actually, pretty simple once you separate them. You spread it out. So that's the engine side. Starter area, injectors, grounds, and the two sensors behind the motor. Injectors on the driver's side, and the alternator. And this is for the filter. Air mass airflow. It's going to be by your filter. You can put it wherever you want. Some people put them right up on the throttle body, but I think it should be farther away to get cold air. That's what I think. That's how it was designed. So that's how I'm going to do it. And also off of this charging wire, I gotta split this way so it'll go inside the truck, so I can get everything that needs constant power. I'm going to put it on this little junction right here. Okay, and there you go. That goes into the truck. Let me go back to the outside of the truck. This is going to be for the transmission side of the harness. You're just going to have two sensors. One sensor on one side and one on the other. The upstream. And this is the shift selector neutral safety switch. The new harnesses don't have it. The aftermarket ones, I heard you don't need it. But since it was already here, I hooked it up how it said to hook it up on lt1swap.com. The selector switch itself is only going to run one wire, which is this black one. And I had to order these new plugs because the old ones were broken, so was the switch. From what I understand, the factory glues these on here, so when people try to take them off, they break them. So 9 times out of 10, it's going to be broken. These were only a couple bucks, but like I said, you only use the ground wire, which on this new one is this green wire right here. Here's the old one. It's the ground wire that goes there, and that runs to the computer. But when you're going through the pinouts, it'll tell you exactly where everything is. You can kind of see on this one how it has this goop on it. I think that was the glue that everybody's talking about. So that one was broken. See, that one was broken. The actual little pin right here that holds it, this part is broken all the way off. This one was pretty much coming off too. So like I said, I just replaced those two. And that way you have that. Something to do with, it's important if you're running a cam. I'm running a stock, but it was already there, so I just went ahead and finished hooking it back up. This whole little setup right here cost me under 20 bucks. I think this was like 12 bucks, and these were, I don't know, 3 or something. It was ridiculously cheap. And then you do need the vehicle speed sensor in the transmission. That plugs right in. It's really easy. And that's pretty much you're done with the back. Now, as far as we're going in, like I said, I brought this power wire, so everything that needs constant power will have it. Okay, let's talk about this. This is for your OBD2 port. I left it bare because I don't know how much I'm going to need. There's extra wire for sure. Once I get it in there and measure it out, then I'll put it where it needs to be. See, for example, that needs constant power. And then This is for the light, little check engine light that I added on there. I don't know if you can see it. But again, that's all pretty self-explanatory when you check out that website. Fuse box, and then we just gotta hook up 2 wires there, and I gotta run one to the pump. That's it. These are the wires here. This is gonna be for the aftermarket gauge. This is the starter, the purple wire. This is the fan and the TCC brake. This is for the torque converter. You hook this up to the brakes. Once I hook that up, I'll show you guys how I did it. But here's the speedometer. I'm not gonna use it because I'm gonna use one of those GPS. I'm gonna try it out, see what happens. This is if you're running air conditioning, it'll run the second fan for you. And this is for the tach. I'll get one, but right now I'm just gonna leave it like this. So the wires that I need to hook up are these 3 and those 2 over there, and it should be ready to go. So that's pretty much it. I'm gonna throw it in the truck and see if it fires up. It should, and then I'll do another video on that. I don't know if that helped out at all, but thank you for watching anyways.